Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first trading and business day in the month of July and the second half of 2018. We hope you had a very nice weekend, everyone. Let's get back to business here on Business Morning here on Channel Television, Nigeria's news leader. I am Bosin Amafai. It's going to be a very interesting second half of 2018 after we saw a bit of a negative ending for the Nigerian market. Quite a lot on our pile this morning as I try to look at what are the most important stories and business and markets and events you need to focus on as we get on with the second half of the year. War of words between the NNPC and the Federal Accounts Allocation Committee, what you call the FAAC, over the remittance figures, which deadlocked June the 28th. Last week, that meeting failed to hold. The Finance Minister, Kemi Adeosun, says the President and the Vice President has been briefed. She briefed the National Economic Council on Thursday, and now the Vice President, according to reports, has weighed in between the NNPC official figures being released and why the NNPC says there's no fresh money on the ground to top up what was put in the accounts for sharing between the federal, state and local governments for the month just ended. That meeting was held again on Saturday. We're now looking to at least a closure on that as soon as we get this fresh business week underway. Meantime, this is when we are now looking at the 2018 budget already being signed. What will be the space of fiscal spendings by the authorities? That will be in focus as we start today. How soon will the Finance Ministry start spending into capital projects? That will be something to look on. We're expecting at least 500 billion naira in the first tranche. Will that happen this month? We're looking at that money. Meantime, the government is also doing some social investment, microcredits, conditional cash transfers, what you call the part of the Abacha's loot, $325 million will be shared during this quarter as well across 19 states, according to government sources. We're tracking that money as well for you. And also in this second half of the year, we're looking at a global DCM. That's the debt capital market offerings, $2.8 billion that the Nigerian authorities is looking for to back up the 2018 appropriations. Meantime, the government has spoken to selling some assets in the public space, including some privatization. We're keeping an eye on that. Also, putting that on our calendar. Put that on your calendar as well for the second half of the year. We're following that through the BPE and the Ministry of Finance, and of course, in particular, the Office of the Vice President, where the National Council on Privatization is domiciled with the VP heading that committee. And for the first time in 25 years, Nigeria is hosting the Africa Export-Import Bank, what we call the AFREXIM 2018 annual meetings, and the 25th anniversary of the Pan-African Trade Finance Organization. That will be next week, July 11th through the 14th. That will be a Saturday. The four-day event will see thousands of officials gathering together, heads of state, business leaders, policymakers, and trade finance and logistics organizations. Will be holding a number of forum seminars and conferences in Abuja to discuss what the AFREXIM called Celebrating the Past, Shaping the Future. That will be covered here by Channel Television. Keep your eye on that very important meeting. For the first time, we're hosting that. 25 years ago was when Nigeria last held that meeting here. And of course, today, the Nigerian Stock Exchange, new market structures for equities, its ETFs and debt, what you call the fixed income, will begin. The stock exchange is looking to enhance market liquidity, including trade transparency and better trade execution. We spent most of the time last week updating everyone and unpacking that for you. Today, we're seeing the takeoff of that with a pre-open, which would, of course, be concluded by now. And now, about 4 minutes past the hour, we're seeing trading getting underway. Then we've got to have what you call the imbalance period at the pre-close at about 2:25 later in the afternoon. We'll see how it all works out over the next few days. Then, before the end of the week, we'll try to get all the analysts to explain and traders to explain how the new market structure is taking off, at least on the equity side. On Market Street, in second half of 2018, what are we looking at? MTN Nigeria, we all thought that this IPO of $500 million will debut in the third week of June. That did not happen. So we're looking at when will this telco giant headquartered in South Africa make good its promise to float its IPO on the Nigerian market, raise some debt which hasn't been disclosed how much that will be on the other side, do an equity IPO, and do a listing on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. That's all in focus in the second half if MTN will make good that pledge when it had a deal with the Nigerian authorities, the NCC to be more precise, as to its regulatory discipline. That was about a year ago. Dangote Cement has also announced plans to do a listing on the London Stock Exchange, perhaps with a little bit of some share offering. We're keeping an eye on that, whether that will also take place in the second half of the year. Currently, the cement giant is doing a commercial papers listing on the FMDQ. We expect flotation, they expect that listing also within the next few weeks.